there, my name's Stephanie and this is my first ever Plan With Me video. I created this spread a couple of weeks ago and it got very positive results on Instagram, and a lot of people were asking me to do a Plan With Me video on how I did this, so I decided to do a journal spread in my classic vertical happy planner for the week of March 8th to show everyone how I did this. This is my very first video, like I said, and keep in mind I don't have all of the things that I would need to make this a really great video, so bear with me and let's get started. I use pages from my Oh Happy Day classic vertical happy planner, and in order to make it a blackout spread you have to of course cover it with black paper, so I used some black cardstock that I got I think at Michael's, white Jelly Roll pens to write on the cardstock, Arteza Everblend alcohol markers for making the boxes, also the box punch from Happy Planner. I used some scraps from a coloring page that I got off the Happy Planner's website, the Tombow adhesive roller to attach the paper to the planner pages. So now I'm going to speed it up quite a bit. I went around the outside of the actual planner pages and measured how far away the lines are from the edge of the page. And now I'm using a ruler and a white jelly roll pen, I believe a 0.7, to go around and connect all of those dots. You kind of have to use a light touch when you're using the jelly roll, because if you push too hard it kind of leaves a weird line in the middle of it and it skips a lot. Right there I wasn't sure about my measurements, so I was remeasuring it. If you make any mistakes or have any stray marks, you can use a black pen on the black paper to erase them, just like you can use the white jelly roll on white paper to erase any stray marks. So next I'm going to go through and, after correcting some more spots, I'm going to write the days of the week. And then put in the numbers. I just did it all by hand. There are stickers you can use, but I liked the way this looked. And then writing in March. And now it looks like a real planner page. So next I'm going to take those scraps from the coloring sheet off of the Happy Planner website that I colored. I used alcohol Everblend Arteza markers to color them. I also colored in the white background black so that they would blend in really well with the black paper. I printed and colored the coloring sheets on Avery shipping label paper so that it would be a sticky sticker that I could peel off and just put right on my planner page. So just cutting off a little bit of that sticker so that it fits in the space. Those coloring sheets are nice because you can color them any color you need. You can see on the back of that sticker paper, those alcohol markers will go through many layers of paper, so you have to be really careful about what's on the other side of the paper you're using. Alright, so I really like how that looks. I'm going to add some lines. Since this is my journal, I need lots of places to write. Using I believe a 0.5 jelly roll now. I wanted a thinner line. I like to have room to write on every day in my journal. So usually I put lines on every day, but in this case, I'm not going to have enough room on Saturday or Sunday to put lines, but that's okay. I can still write around the flower stickers too. Or, you know, I can just write wherever. It's my journal. It doesn't really matter where I write. Alright, so now kind of trying to decide what I'm going to do next. This is more Avery shipping label paper, so I'm just cutting out boxes using the Happy Planner box punch. And then I'm just kind of deciding where I want the boxes to be and what size before I start coloring boxes. Just cutting some of them in half so I have different sizes. I don't really want to cover up any of the flowers, but it wasn't really looking right unless I did. I try to be really careful about having the same color next to each other. I wanted to have the different sizes dispersed throughout the page. So now I have all of the Arteza markers that I use to color the flowers, and there are a couple shades of pink and a couple shades of red and green, so I'm just deciding which shade I want to use. And then I just go all the way around the outside of the label paper. It doesn't really matter if you draw it straight, because as you'll see later, I'll just cut out the middle anyway. But you want to make it thick enough around the outside. And you may have noticed I added another sheet of paper underneath because I noticed it was starting to go through and I don't want to ruin my desk. These markers really bleed through paper. Alright, so I'm just making sure I have a couple of each color scattered around the spread. These markers are buildable, so if you go over one spot over and over again, like you tend to do on the corners of the boxes, then you'll get a darker color in the corners. So I tried not to go all the way to the corner every time. I don't have all of the things like I said earlier, so I'm just using a lap desk to go under my boxes so I don't cut my desk. One day I'll actually get a cutting mat. But I'm just going around and cutting a box out of the middle of my box so that I'm left with a frame. I'm not cutting all the way through, so you can see that the backing when I pull the square out of the middle. And sometimes I didn't quite get all the way to the corner, so it was a little bit hard to peel that off. I was left with a little bit of extra there, so I cut it off. I wanted to cut the middle of the box stickers out because I wanted to be able to see the black paper in the middle so that I could write with white pen on the black paper and have a true blackout spread, not have any white on the page. I'm using a Cricut craft knife to cut out the middle. And obviously using the ruler to make sure I have a nice straight edge. Alright, so just kind of double checking where I want all of them to go. I wanted them to be really spread out. So I thought that I could put one of them over the flowers, but as you'll see later, that doesn't really work out. So when you're peeling up just a frame, you have to be kind of careful because they're really easy to rip. You also can't really go over those lines because you'll see the line through the middle of the frame. I could have, blacked those lines back out, but then I was afraid it'd be hard to write on them later over pen over pen. So I just moved them to not be over the white lines. So now I'm kind of thinking about moving them around. Sometimes it's a little easier to turn the paper upside down. So you can see sometimes it's a little hard to put them down because they're a lot more flexible than if you just have a solid box. So like I said, I can't put it right over the flowers because then you're going to see the flowers through the back of the box. Decided I didn't want that one there because now I'm going to have to put green right next to green. So I'm going to have to move that one down so that they're not right next to each other. Now I still have some more of the colored pictures, so I'm trying to decide if I can use any of that anywhere. And I'll just turn it over and cut off the excess. I decided I wanted a long box for the sidebar. I can write gratitude for the week, and then I'll have room throughout the week to write what happened that day if I want to. Since Happy Planner doesn't make a box punch for a long box for the sidebar, I'm going to have to take individual boxes and kind of piece them together, which ended up being a little tricky. I couldn't decide if it would be easier to kind of stick them all together first. If I did that, if I took the backing off and stuck them all together, then I'd still have to turn it over and put it down on something to cut out the middle, and then it would get stuck to whatever I had. So I ended up just cutting a little bit of the backing off so I could stick them together but still have the backing on, so that I can move the sticker around and cut out the middle and leave that frame. Alright, so here's where it becomes really tricky to try to put it down on the paper. They kept wanting to come apart. They're really hard to deal with because they're so flexible. So everything kept falling apart. But we got there eventually. It was just easier to take that bottom piece off and deal with the sides of the sticker before it. So you can kind of see that they're not one sticker and kind of stuck together, but I think it works out. And it's not 100% straight, but I decided to live with it. I decided I wanted to have some lines inside that long box so that it would be easier to write in it. The checklist stencil from Happy Planner doesn't have a stencil for a long box either, so I just kind of had to line them up and figure it out. Alright, so now I'm going to take the Tombow adhesive, permanent adhesive roller and put it along the back of the Happy Planner page. You have to kind of get into all those little nooks and crannies around the punches. then I didn't put it on there quite straight, but I used that permanent adhesive, so I couldn't really pull it apart and straighten it. I put it to the side to kind of think about how to fix it, but ended up deciding I couldn't really do anything about it once it was stuck on. I haven't played around with undo to see if it will undo permanent adhesive, but I decided it wasn't that big of a deal and that I could just leave it. Alright, so now I'm still trying to decide what to do about that. Decided I was just going to trim off the excess. You can see my spread from the week before, which at this point when I'm doing the voiceover, I've already posted it on Instagram. Now I'm just going to fill in that white space with some black marker. That's a Tombow brush pen. And now you can't even tell, right? Problem solved. Using my big Happy Planner punch to punch new holes in the sides. Alright, so now I'm going to put my finished blackout spread pages in my journal planner. You can kind of see a sneak peek at some of the other spreads I've done. I hope you enjoyed watching my first video, and I hope to make some more in the future. I know some of it might be a little bit rough, but I know I'll get better the more I do it. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and maybe in the future I'll have a bunch of videos on here, and then I can ask you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!